Oh, hello, this is Tak Chong from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Recently, I posted a video on how to make a simple fried rice using a vlogging approach as suggested by one of the viewers. In this video, in addition to show you how I cook this fried rice, I also discuss some of the mistakes that I make along the way. I must admit, cooking is a complex process because it does not go the way you want to all the time. So I often make mistakes along the way, and in this video I try to demonstrate to you how I solve some of the problems that I face, and similarly this problem that you might face as well. In this video I will explain each step of the basic templates to make teriyaki chicken. I'm going to deconstruct or basically break down each of the steps and explain to you why I make such decisions and how these decisions affect the outcome of the dish. Teriyaki chicken is probably one of the all-time favorite chicken dishes. There are many different versions of teriyaki chickens. Some of them are very simple, but some could be quite complex. Since my fast cooking system is to make cooking as practical, efficient, and simple as possible, so my version of teriyaki chickens only takes about 3 minutes to cook, as long as you have everything ready. One of the most significant advantages of stir-frying is its cooking speed. The reason is that in stir-frying, the ingredients are cut up into a size that is optimal for speed in cooking. And it makes common sense. If you cut up your food ingredients small, it will be able to cook faster. And by constantly stirring the ingredients over a hot surface, it will make it cook even faster. So a question that you might have is that, why don't I cut my ingredients as small as possible? However, when you do a search on stir-fry dishes, you actually will find very few dishes that will cut their ingredients into small size. And most of the dishes, you will notice that the ingredients are cut to, I would call it, approximately bite size. And when food in this size, first of all, they fit the mouth well. And secondly, is that they are actually more flavorful. So I call this the optimum flavor size. In other words, if the ingredient is too small, they will not be as flavorful. And if an ingredient is too big, they will not fit in the mouth very well. So right here, we have 3 different factors to govern how big you should cut and cook your food ingredients. They are number 1, the optimum cooking size, number 2, the optimum bite size, and number 3, the optimum flavor size. It is the combination of these 3 sizes and in the consideration of what you try to achieve in your dish, then you cut your ingredients to that size accordingly. In addition to the size of the ingredients, we also consider the shape of the ingredients. In here you notice that I use my knife to shape the chicken into thin slices. Again, it makes common sense that if the chicken in thin slices, they will cook faster. The thin slices will give the chicken maximum surface area exposure to the heat during the cooking process, making them to cook much faster. The thickness of the ingredients also make a difference in the culinary experience. A thin slice of chicken would taste different from a thicker slice of chicken. However, a thicker slice would take longer time to cook. Again, this is a compromise that you need to consider, all depending on what you want to achieve in your dish. The size of the chicken also affects how you experience them in a dish. For example, when you cook a chicken and broccoli dish, if the chicken size is large, then the chicken becomes the dominant ingredients in the dish. If the size of the chicken is smaller, it becomes more as a supplementary ingredient or even as a condiment for the dish. Based on this consideration, I cut my chicken pieces to relatively small, thin slices because first and foremost, I want it to be able to cook very rapidly. And secondly, I want my chicken to be the supplementary ingredients in a dish. However, if I want my chicken to be the dominant ingredients in the dish, then I will cut it bigger. I cooked this teriyaki chicken the other night for dinner, and I cook it in my Cuisinart 14-inch stainless steel wok. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of canola oil. And the amount of oil that I use, based on my estimation, how much oil would it take to coat the contents of the chicken that I'm going to cook? You want to use just the right amount of oil, because if you have too little oil, then the chicken tends to get stick to the bottom of the wok and get burned. Now if you use too much oil, then the chicken will taste oily. I heat up the oil until it starts to smoke gently, and I let it smoke another 15 seconds. And this is time when the wok is being seasoned to create a non-stick cooked surface. I got this method spot seasoning because I'm seasoning the wok right on the spot each time when I cook. I'm first going to saute 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. This is entirely optional depending on how much that you like garlic. Now this part is important. You do not want the garlic to get burned. And usually within a matter of seconds, you should add the chicken to the wok. And for this dish, I cook approximately 1 pound of thinly sliced chicken. This is probably the maximum amount of chicken that I will cook in a 14-inch wok. And my rule of thumb of the amount of chicken that you cook in a wok is that the chicken that you add to the wok should be able to cover the surface of the wok in more or less a thin single layer. And this will allow the chicken to cook rapidly as well as evenly. Otherwise, you're going to overcrowd the wok. In here, 1 pound of chicken pretty much stretch the maximum of a 14-inch wok, which for most home cooking chore is much better than a 12-inch wok. And by cooking the chicken under high heat and constant stirring, you can cook 1 pound of chicken in less than 1 minute. The chicken here is cut slightly under the optimum bite size. If I cut them smaller, they probably will be able to cook faster. But then they will be too small for my personal preference. And I don't want them to be any bigger than this, but because they will take too long to cook. I noticed that some of the garlic has been stuck and burned to the bottom of the wok. To return the flavor back to the dish, I use a water bottle, add a small amount of water right over the surface of this burnt material, and then I use my wok spatula to scrape them off. Not only I return the flavor back to the dish, I also clean the wok as I cook. And this is the reason I call this method spot cleaning. And by now, the chicken is about 85% done. And I'm going to season the dish first with oyster sauce. And this will provide the umami flavor of the dish. And this is followed by hoisin sauce. And there are many ways to create the teriyaki flavor of the dish, but oyster sauce and hoisin sauce is the foundation. And next is some light soy sauce. This is then followed by some dark soy sauce. And let me provide a brief explanation why I choose to use these 4 different sauces. The oyster sauce provide umami flavor to the dish. The hoisin sauce gives the dish a sweetness as well as a slight fruity flavor. The light soy sauce provides saltiness to the dish. The dark soy sauce to give the dish a smoky flavor as well as some dark color. Together, they form the foundation of a basic teriyaki sauce, which you can make further modifications after doing some taste testing. By varying the ratio of these 4 sauces, you can constantly make improvement to your teriyaki sauce to the way how you like it. And you can add other ingredients such as vinegar to make it a little bit tangy, or you can add hot chili pepper to make it slightly spicy. For this particular instance, I want it to be a little bit sweeter, so I add about 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. Again, I make different adjustments to the flavor of this dish, depend on who I'm cooking this dish for or how I feel like on that day. I add more soy sauce to make it a bit saltier after another taste test. The last but not the least step of this cooking process is to thicken the sauce. A cornstarch turned out to be the best way to create a sauce for the dish like this. To do this, I first turn off the heat because that will give me much better control. And then I sprinkle about half tablespoon of cornstarch directly over the chicken. This method works well because I already have a lot of fluid in the wok. And after mixing the content quickly, I decided that the sauce is not quite thick enough, so I would need to add more cornstarch. So I sprinkle another half tablespoon of cornstarch right over the chicken. I can see the sauce start to thicken to the point pretty much of how I would like it. The other way that you can thicken the sauce is by using a cornstarch water suspension. However, this method has an advantage because you do not add extra fluid to the dish. It provides you a better control. But you need to mix it rapidly, otherwise the cornstarch might form lumps. Okay, now the dish is almost done. I'm going to do a final taste test. Based on this, I decided that I want a little more saltier and also give it a darker color, so I add more dark soy sauce. With some final taste testing, now this chicken has achieved the consistency as well as the flavor that I am looking for. And after I transfer the content from the wok to the serving dish, I garnish it with some scallions. The total cook time of this dish, from the time that I add chicken to the wok to the time when I transfer the content to a serving plate, is a little bit under 5 minutes. In addition to serve this chicken teriyaki dish as a standalone dish, you can also use it to go over a vegetable stir-fry dish. This is a very versatile basic template for chicken teriyaki that you could use in many different meal applications. This provides a basic foundation of my fast cooking system, which is flavor chasing, advanced prepping, stir-frying, and template-based cooking. I post a video each day to introduce as well as to help people to adopt my fast cooking system so they can make home cooking as part of their everyday routine. Because home cooking is not only important for your wellness, but it is also allow you to cook the food that you love and enjoyed. So keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.